Okay, I want everyone to just take a second. Look at the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
It's Monday, February 16th, 2026. And I feel like the entire world needs to take a collective deep breath.
A very, very deep breath. It has been an absolute whirlwind.
Whirlwind is, I think, putting it mildly.
Yeah, that might be an understatement.
We are sitting right now in the immediate aftermath of what I honestly believe will go down as the most culturally significant 2 weeks in the history of Latin music.
I don't think that's hyperbole. I really don't. Maybe even pop music history, period.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the sequence of events,
It's just unprecedented.
they're barely a week out from Super Bowl LX. That was February 8th.
Right, it feels like a lifetime ago already.
It does. And we're just days removed from the 68th Annual Grammy Awards.
And at the absolute, the epicenter of this perfect storm is one man,
Benito Antonio Martínez Ocasio,
better known to the entire planet as Bad Bunny.
the biggest pop star in the world.
And that's not just a talking point anymore, it's a statistical fact.
Right? I know people throw that title around all the time. You hear for Taylor, you hear for Beyonce, and they're giants, obviously.
And of course.
But when you look at the raw data, the
Mhm.
streaming numbers, and more importantly, when you look at the cultural saturation we have just witnessed,
It's just undeniable at this point.
it is. And what makes this whole story so compelling, so fascinating, is the journey to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we aren't talking about someone who was, groomed in a Disney lab or a boy band.
No, this isn't a dynasty hire. He wasn't born into the industry.
Not at all. We are talking about a guy who, not that long ago, was bagging groceries at an Econo supermarket in Vega Baja, Puerto Rico.
And just last week, he became the first solo Latino to headline a Super Bowl halftime show.
The biggest stage on earth.
And if that wasn't enough to completely break the internet,
As if that wasn't enough.
he walks away from the Grammys with Album of the Year.
For a Spanish language record, which has never, ever happened before.
Never. It's the holy grail. It is the glass ceiling that so many people in the industry for decades said could never be broken.
Decades. You had artists like Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, Shakira. All of them came close.
They all tried. They all pushed the envelope. But no one could get over that final hurdle.
And he just walked in and did it.
He did it.
So today's deep dive is, well, it feels momentous. It feels necessary. Our mission today is to move past the headlines.
Right. Beyond the spectacle.
Exactly. We all saw the Super Bowl performance. We've all seen the wild outfits. We know the songs are insanely catchy.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to understand the phenomenon. We need to unpack the how and the why.
How did this happen? How did all these pieces fall into place so perfectly?
How did a kid from rural Puerto Rico completely reshape the global music industry without ever compromising his language or his culture?
That's the key, without compromising.
How did he manage to change the entire conversation around masculinity in a culture that is historically very traditional?
Machismo culture.
And frankly, the biggest question on my mind, the one I can't wrap my head around,
Go on.
how did he become the undisputed face of American pop culture in 2026 while refusing to tour the United States for the entire year of 2025?
That is the paradox, isn't it? That's the part we really need to dig into.
It is. And when you look at the stack of sources we have here, I mean, we've got biographical data, we have discography reviews, political activism reports from San Juan, all the coverage of his recent achievements. You realize this isn't just a story about a singer.
It never is it? It's always bigger.
Never.
This is a story about identity. It's a story about politics. It's about the shifting center of gravity in global culture.
What do you mean by that? Shifting center of gravity?
I mean that the concept of the mainstream is no longer exclusively English-speaking or American-centric. He proved that.
So let's go back, let's rewind the tape. Before the Super Bowl, before the Grammys, before the billions and billions of streams.
Let's go to Vega Baja.
To the Almirante Barrio, to be specific.
Right. And this context is so important because usually when we talk about the history of reggaeton, the old school legends, we're talking about San Juan, we're talking about the metropolis, the city.
The concrete jungle.
Exactly. We're talking about Carolina, we're talking about the housing projects, the caseríos.
That's the birthplace.
That's where the genre was born. It's gritty, it's urban, it's deeply connected to the street life. That's the Daddy Yankee origin story. That's the Tego Calderon origin story.
But Benito, that's not his story at all.
No, he's a country boy. Vega Baja's on the north coast. It's not the city.
So he wasn't running the streets.
Not even close. His father was a truck driver. His mother was a retired school teacher. His was a very stable working-class family. He wasn't involved in the drug trade. He was at home with his mom and dad and 2 younger brothers.
And this is the detail that always gets me, the detail that breaks the stereotype so hard.
I think I know what you're going to say.
He wasn't a street kid at all. He was a choir boy until he was 13.
A choir boy. I love that detail.
It's amazing.
It is. And I think that's the first real key insight into his musicality. Because if you really listen to his music, really listen to the melodies underneath the trap beats.
You hear it.
You hear that church influence. You can hear the structure of hymns and ballads in his chord progressions.
That explains why he's so melodic. Even when he's rapping in that low drone, there's always a song under it.
Precisely. And he grew up in this incredibly rich musical environment at home. His parents weren't just blasting the hot reggaeton of the moment.
Right.
They were playing salsa, they were playing merengue, they were playing romantic pop ballads from the 80s and 90s. He talks about listening to Vico C.
The Godfather, the philosopher king of Spanish hip-hop.
The absolute godfather. But in the same breath, he talks about listening to Hector Lavoe and Mark Anthony.
So he's just a sponge. He's absorbing everything from the hardest street rap to the most lush, romantic salsa.
He's a total sponge, but he's also shy. He was a shy kid. There's this great detail in one of the biographies where he talks about being really socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the class clown. He wasn't the life of the party. He was the observer. The quiet kid in the corner, watching everyone else, soaking it all in.
Which brings us to the name, Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone knows the name, but nobody really stops to think about how weird it is.
It is weird.
It's not Killer Bee or Don Benito or Lil Ben. It's a bunny.
And it comes from a childhood photo. There was a school event, maybe for Easter, and he was forced to wear this plush bunny costume.
And he was not happy about it.
He was furious. In the picture, he just has this look on his face of pure annoyance. He's plotting revenge on the world.
I think I've seen that picture. He looks so mad.
He's so mad. But here's the kicker, and this is where you start to see the early signs of his genius.
Okay.
He didn't choose the name just because it was a funny memory. He told an interviewer that he chose it because even back then, as a teenager, he thought it would market well.
Get out of here, really.
That's a direct quote. He understood branding before he even had a career.
That's the part that gets me. He understood differentiation. He knew that in a sea of guys trying to project this hyper-masculine, dangerous image,
right,
calling yourself a bunny completely disarms people.
It makes you look twice. It's ironic. It's memorable. It was a brilliant move.
So let's fast forward a bit. He's in college. He's studying audiovisual communications at the University of Puerto Rico at Arecibo.
He's trying to be a radio host, producer.
And to make ends meet, he's working at the Econo supermarket.
The famous bagging job. It's part of the legend now.
It's the ultimate started from the bottom story. But I want to talk about the timeline here. This is around 2016. What does the musical landscape look like at that moment?
This is the SoundCloud era, and this is really, really important to understand.
Okay.
Before this moment, if you wanted to be a Latin music star, you needed a record label. You needed a huge marketing budget. You needed radio play.
You needed a gatekeeper to say yes.
Yes, you needed a gatekeeper. But SoundCloud just blew the doors off the whole system.
It changed the plumbing of the industry.
Completely. It democratized distribution. All you needed was a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection.
So Benito was working a shift, bagging groceries, dealing with customers. And then he goes home and he makes beats on his computer and starts uploading these tracks himself.
Exactly. And in 2016, he releases a track called Dials.
Okay.
And Dials isn't just a song. It's like a match in a powder keg.
It just catches fire online.
It spreads like crazy through the underground. And it's technically Latin trap, which is a bit different from reggaeton.
Could you explain that difference?
Sure. Reggaeton has that very specific, iconic dembo beat, that boom-ch-boom-chick rhythm.
Right. You know it when you hear it.
Trap is different. It's slower, deeper, with these heavy, booming 808 bass sounds and skittering, rolling hi-hats. It's sonically darker, more atmospheric.
And Dials caught the ear of DJ Luian,
who is a massive deal in the scene, a kingmaker.
Right. He runs Hear This Music.
He hears the track, sees the insane buzz it's getting online, and he basically signs Bad Bunny immediately. No long A&R process, just you're with us now.
And then they re-released Dials with a bunch of huge features.
Right, with Ozuna, Farruko, Archangel, it becomes an official anthem. But the next song is the one that really defines him.
Soy Peor.
Soy Peor. I Am Worse.
And this song You have to understand the context. This isn't a party song. It's not for the club.
No, it's a heartbreak anthem. It's a sad boy anthem before that was really a thing in the Latin space.
It's about being bitter after a breakup and just deciding, you know what, I'm going to be the bad guy now because love failed me.
Which is such a universal feeling. We've all been there. Fine, if you think I'm bad, I'll be the worst.
Exactly. And it just explodes. Suddenly this grocery bagger from Vega Baja is the undisputed face of the Latin trap movement. He creates this entire persona of this sad, hedonistic bad boy.
It was a movement.
But here's where my brain gets stuck. Because we've seen huge Latin stars before. We've seen Ricky Martin. We've seen Shakira. We've seen Enrique Iglesias. But the playbook for them was always the same. You get huge in Latin America. You dominate the Spanish-speaking market.
And then you do the crossover.
The English album. The Livin' La Vida Loca strategy.
Right. You sing in English. You work with big-name American producers. You essentially dilute the sound to make it palatable for a radio station in, like, Ohio.
You assimilate. That's the word.
You assimilate into the American market.
But Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
He just never did that.
He completely rejected it. And this is the second key insight into his career, and probably the most important one for his global dominance. He looked at that crossover model and said, no, thank you.
He said, I'm not going to change my language. I'm going to make you learn mine.
That takes an incredible amount of confidence or arrogance or a healthy mix of both.
I think it's both.
Probably. But look at how he executed it. It was brilliant. He did collaborate with English-speaking artists, but he completely flipped the power dynamic.
Talk about I like it.
Okay, I like it. 2018. Cardi B is the biggest new star in rap. J Balvin is already a global superstar.
And the song goes to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. A massive, massive hit.
But he's rapping his entire verse in Spanish on it. He makes no concessions. And then there's the Drake situation.
Oh, Mia.
Mia. This is late 2018. Drake is, without question, the biggest pop star on the planet. Any other Latin artist would have killed to be on a Drake song.
And they would have bent over backwards to accommodate him. They would have sung the hook in English.
Of course. That would be the standard play.
So what did Bad Bunny do?
He made Drake sing in Spanish.
Yeah, as the ultimate power move. It's legendary.
It's a declaration of independence. It's him saying, I am the center of gravity now. I am global, but I am Puerto Rican first. You want to work with me, you come to my world.
And the song was a huge hit. It proved his thesis.
It completely proved it. The American audience didn't need the lyrics translated. They just needed the vibe, the melody, the beat.
It's almost like he realized that in the streaming era, those old language barriers just don't exist in the same way.
That's it exactly. Streaming democratized consumption.
Ah.
A kid in Nebraska can vibe to a Spanish trap beat just as easily as a kid in San Juan. The gatekeepers at the radio stations who used to demand English lyrics, they lost all their power.
So he's riding this incredible wave. He's got the singles. He's the undisputed king of trap. But then he decides to drop a full album. And usually trap artists, they aren't really known for cohesive artistic albums.
It's a single genre. It's the playlist mentality. Just give me a string of hits.
But in late 2018, he drops X100 Pre.
And that title is stylized, right? It's X100 Pre, which is tech speak for por siempre.
Forever.
Right. And the critics and even some fans were confused at first.
Why?
Because it wasn't just hard trap. It was weird. It was all over the place. One review called it off-kilter creativity.
In what way? What were the sounds?
It had pop-punk influences, like real Blink-182 vibes on some tracks. It had dreamy synth pop. It had heartbreaking acoustic ballads. It was deeply experimental.
So he was immediately signaling, don't put me in a box.
Exactly. It established him as an album artist, not just a hit maker. He was building a whole sonic world for you to live in.
And then 2020 happens.
The year the world stopped.
But Bad Bunny somehow sped up. It's honestly exhausting just looking at his output for 2020.
He was unbelievably prolific. He starts the year February 2020 with YHLQMDLG.
Yo hago lo que me da la gana.
I do what I want.
The title says it all, really.
It really does. And this was the party record. It was pure, unfiltered nostalgia. It was a love letter to the old school reggaeton he grew up on.
It was meant for the clubs, for cars with the windows down, for backyard barbecues.
It was the ultimate summer album, and it came out right before summer was canceled.
I know. The timing seemed disastrous. He releases this massive party record, and 2 weeks later, the entire world goes into lockdown.
You'd think it would have killed the album's momentum, but weirdly, the opposite happened.
It became the soundtrack to the lockdown.
It did. People were having parties in their living rooms to Safera. It was this shared cultural experience of clinging to joy in a scary time.
We have to talk about Safera. That song is a masterpiece of chaos.
It's insane. It changes beats like 5 or 6 times. It samples everything from Missy Elliott to classic reggaeton rhythms.
It's like a full DJ set crammed into one 5-minute song.
It's brilliant. But he didn't stop there, because we were all stuck at home, bored out of our minds.
He drops Las que no iban a salir.
The ones that weren't going to come out.
It was a total surprise drop.
A complete surprise. And it was just a compilation of B-sides, rough drafts, unpolished tracks from the YHLQ-MDLG sessions. It felt so raw and intimate.
It felt like he was just giving us a gift.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know you're bored. Here's some more music to get you through.
It deepened that connection with his fans. It wasn't a polished corporate product. It was personal.
And he's still not done with 2020. It's Thanksgiving. We're all in the thick of it.
And he drops El Último Tour del Mundo, the last tour in the world.
And this album is the real pivot. This is a game changer.
This is the one that rewrites the history books.
How so?
Because it becomes the first all-Spanish language album to ever top the U.S. Billboard 200 chart.
Again, not the Latin chart, the main chart. He beat Taylor Swift. He beat everybody.
He beat everybody. And musically, it was a total left turn. It wasn't reggaeton at all.
Just rock. Alternative.
It was what he called truck driver music. It was post-punk. It was indie rock. It was melancholic and had these fuzzy electric guitars. He was doing this low, slurry, almost goth rock vocal delivery.
He was completely unafraid to alienate the fans who just wanted to party and dance.
He was basically saying, I'm an artist and this is where I'm at right now. Come along if you want.
And that willingness to experiment, to take huge risks, sets the stage for the big one. The global juggernaut.
2022, Un Verano Sin Ti.
A Summer Without You.
I don't think we can possibly overstate how massive this album was. The stats in the source material are just ridiculous.
It became the most streamed album in the history of Spotify.
Yeah.
Not for the year.
Ever. It spent 13 non-consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200. That puts him in the same league as, like, the Frozen soundtrack or Drake at his peak.
It was true cultural ubiquity. You couldn't leave your house without hearing Titi Me Pregunto from a passing car.
You couldn't scroll on TikTok without hearing Mi Porto Bonito.
It was a global cultural moment. It solidified the idea that Spanish-language music wasn't a niche or a genre. It was just pop music, period. The biggest pop music in the world.
And it was the first Spanish-language album to be nominated for the big prize, Album of the Year, at the Grammys.
It didn't win that year, but it broke down the door.
It broke down the door. And that brings us to the recent history, the build-up to this incredible moment we're in now in February 2026.
He drops the follow-up, Debí Tirar Más Fotos. I should have taken more photos. On January 5, 2025.
And this album was interesting because he explicitly described it as recommitting to Puerto Rico.
What does that mean?
After the massive globe-trotting sound of Un Verano, which was influenced by music from all over the Caribbean and beyond, this album was a return to his roots. More trap, more personal stories about the island. He turned his gaze back home.
And the marketing was so cool. The character of Concho.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Puerto Rican crested toad, the sapo concha. It's an endangered species native to the island.
And he used this cartoon toad character to promote the album.
He used the entire album rollout to raise awareness for conservation efforts for the toad. It's that perfect blend of massive commercial reach and a hyper-local specific concern that makes him so unique.
And that album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos, is what just won him the Grammy for Album of the Year last week.
Finally, the first Spanish-language album to ever win the big one. It felt like the industry finally caught up to the reality that the fans have known for years.
It really does. But, you know, we're talking a lot about the music, but we have to talk about the style, the aesthetic, the visuals.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Bad Bunny isn't just reshaping what pop music sounds like. He's reshaping what it looks like to be a male superstar, especially in Latin America.
We're talking about the new masculinity.
Exactly. I mean, just look at him. He wears pink. He wears florals and skirts. He's got the short shorts. He paints his nails, these long, manicured fingernails.
And this is so significant because he's coming from the world of reggaeton and Latin trap. These are genres that have historically been absolutely steeped in machismo.
Right. Traditional gender roles are very, very strong in that culture. You're supposed to be tough, stoic, the alpha male.
And here comes the biggest star in the entire genre, performing in full drag for the music video for Yo Perreo Sola.
That video was a cultural earthquake when it dropped.
It was. And he wasn't just, wearing a wig for a laugh. He was in full prosthetics, makeup, heels, everything. He was embodying the woman in the song who is declaring that she wants to dance alone, free from harassment.
It was such an incredibly bold move.
It was. And he wasn't doing it as a joke or for shock value. He was challenging the very foundation of those norms. He was saying, I can be the most successful artist in the world, and I can do it in a skirt.
He was the first man to appear solo on the cover of Playboy magazine other than Hugh Hefner himself.
Think about that. He is actively and deliberately dismantling the archetype of what a reggaetonero is supposed to look and act like.
And it goes beyond just fashion choices. It's about genuine allyship. I remember the incident with Alexa Negron-Luciano.
Yes, a transgender woman who was brutally murdered in Puerto Rico in early 2020.
It was a horrific hate crime. She was homeless, she was mocked on social media, hunted down, and killed. It was a moment of deep national shame and soul-searching on the island.
It was awful.
And Bad Bunny goes on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, one of the biggest platforms in America.
Mm-hmm.
And he performs, but he's wearing a T-shirt that says, in Spanish, Mataron a Alexa, no a un hombre con falda.
They killed Alexa, not a man in a skirt.
That is such a powerful, unambiguous statement to make on national television. He used his platform to correct the disrespectful narrative, to honor her identity, and to call out the transphobia that led to her death.
It was a huge moment, and it's why Ricky Martin, who is an icon in his own right, has called Bad Bunny an icon for the Latin queer community.
That's high praise coming from Ricky.
It is, and he's been open about his own identity, too. He famously kissed a male backup dancer during his performance at the VMAs. He said in interviews his sexuality is fluid.
Right. He's currently with a woman, but he's open.
Exactly. He's creating a space for his fans, especially young men, to be themselves. He's signaling that the old, rigid rules just don't apply anymore.
Speaking of rules and breaking them, we absolutely have to talk about his politics. Because usually when an artist reaches this level of fame, when you're a corporate-friendly Super Bowl headlining superstar, you tamp down the political stuff.
You play it safe. You don't want to alienate half of your potential audience.
Right. You become Switzerland.
Bad Bunny does not subscribe to that theory. In fact, he seems to get louder and more politically engaged the bigger he gets.
His relationship with Puerto Rico, the island, the politics, the struggles, it's absolutely central to who he is as an artist.
It goes all the way back to Hurricane Maria in 2017. He was one of the most vocal critics of the government's failed relief efforts. But the real turning point was the summer of 2019.
The Telegram Gate protests.
Yes, when nearly 900 pages of private Telegram chats between Governor Ricardo Rossello and his inner circle were leaked to the public.
And the contents were just vile.
Beyond vile. They were making homophobic jokes, misogynistic comments about female politicians, and worst of all, making light of the dead bodies that were piling up in the morgues after Hurricane Maria.
And the island just erupted. Spontaneously.
It was a peaceful revolution. Hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. And Bad Bunny, he literally put his massive European tour on pause.
He was in Spain, I think.
He was. He canceled shows, flew back to Puerto Rico, and he joined Residente and Ricky Martin in the streets. They led a protest that shut down the Expreso Las Americas, a major highway in San Juan.
Can you just imagine that scene? The biggest pop star in the world, standing on a highway, shouting through a bullhorn, demanding that the governor resign.
And it worked. Rossello resigned. It was the first time in the history of Puerto Rico that a governor was forced out of office by popular protest.
And during the protests, they released that anthem, Afilando los Cuchillos.
Sharpening the knives.
Okay.
Which was not a pop song. It was raw, unfiltered political rage set to a beat.
And he hasn't stopped since then. The music video for El Apagón from Un Verano Sin Ti. It wasn't just a music video.
No, it was a 22-minute documentary.
It was straight-up investigative journalism.
It was. He turned his platform over to the independent journalist Bianca Graulau to report on the real-world issues behind the song's title, The Blackout.
They reported on Omame Energy, the private company that took over the island's power grid, and the constant blackouts that were plaguing the people.
And they went deeper. They reported on Act 22, these controversial tax breaks that encourage wealthy foreigners, like crypto investors and YouTubers, to move to the island.
And in the process, they They drive up real estate prices and displace local Puerto Ricans. It's classic gentrification.
He's using his biggest music videos to educate the world about the modern-day effects of colonialism on his home.
Which leads us to the 2024 election and the drama that spilled over into 2025. This is where the story gets really intense and where we see the setup for this current historic moment.
It does. During the 2024 election cycle, there was that infamous Trump rally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, I remember this.
A comedian opened for the rally and called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage.
The backlash was immediate and fierce.
And Bad Bunny didn't stay silent. He went on social media and endorsed Juan Dalmau of the Puerto Rican Independence Party.
Which is a huge deal. That's a shift away from the two traditional establishment parties on the island.
It's a radical statement, and he directly criticized Trump for allowing that kind of rhetoric at his event.
But it didn't just end with a tweet. This controversy spilled over into his touring decisions for the entire next year. And this is the part that still blows my mind. In 2025, Bad Bunny did not tour the United States.
Stop and think about the economics of that for a second. His last major tour, the world's hottest tour in 2022, was the highest grossing tour of the year.
He grossed hundreds of millions of dollars.
So he looked at a guaranteed 9-figure payday and just left it all on the table.
Why? What was his reasoning?
He publicly cited concerns that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE would target his undocumented fans at his concerts.
Can you unpack that? What does that mean?
Well, his concerts are massive gatherings of Latinos from all backgrounds and with all kinds of immigration statuses. He was worried, based on the political rhetoric at the time, that these concerts could be used as traps.
That ICE could show up and use the events to profile and detain people?
Exactly. So he looked at the potential risk to the most vulnerable members of his fan base, and he said, I'm not doing it. I won't put them in that position.
That is truly putting your money where your mouth is. That is a level of integrity you almost never see in the entertainment industry.
It's a monumental sacrifice for his principles.
So instead of a huge U.S. stadium tour, what did he do in 2025?
He went home. He did a 30-date residency called No Me Quiero Ir de Aquí, I Don't Want to Leave Here, at the Choliseo Arena in Puerto Rico.
So he played for his people.
He played for his people, and he did a stadium tour of Europe and Latin America, but he completely bypassed the U.S. mainland.
It sends such a loud message. I will perform for my community, but I refuse to let my art be a tool for their persecution.
It was a very powerful, very expensive, and very visible form of protest.
And while all this is happening, he's still doing the philanthropic work on the island. The Good Bunny Foundation?
Yeah, the Bonita tradition holiday gift drives every Christmas. He's there in person, handing out toys, musical instruments, art supplies to thousands of kids.
And he partnered with Mark Anthony to rebuild baseball fields for youth leagues.
Right? A $1.6 million project. He's deeply personally invested in the infrastructure and the future of Puerto Rican youth.
Okay, so we have the artist, we have the fashion icon, we have the activist, but we also have to talk about the wrestler.
The wrestler. This is my favorite subplot in the entire Bad Bunny saga.
It's just wild, because usually when a celebrity does a guest spot on WWE, it's a little embarrassing.
It's cringeworthy. They stand there, they wave, maybe they throw a soft punch that looks terrible.
Right. But Bad Bunny is legitimately good, like technically proficient in the ring.
He's amazing. He's doing Canadian destroyers off the top row. He's flying through the air.
He's a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. You can tell he respects the business, and he trained incredibly hard.
Oh, absolutely. He debuted at WrestleMania 37 in a tag team match, which was already impressive enough. But then he came back for the Royal Rumble.
And he eliminated Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, two former world champions.
He eliminated Sheamus. It's incredible.
But the absolute peak was Backlash 2023.
In Puerto Rico.
The first WWE premium live event on the island in almost 20 years.
And he's in the main event, a San Juan street fight against his friend-turned-rival Damian Priest.
I watched that match. The crowd noise was deafening. It sounded like a jet engine for 25 straight minutes. The passion was unbelievable.
And he took real bumps. He got chokeslammed through a table. He was hit with kendo sticks.
And he used trash cans and chairs. It was a brutal, incredible match, and he won.
It cemented his status not just as a fan, but as a legitimate performer who is willing to put his body on the line for the sake of entertainment. It earned him so much respect from the wrestling community, which is notoriously hard to please.
It just adds to this mythology around him, this idea that he does everything at 110%. If he's going to design sneakers with Adidas,
they're going to be the most sought-after, instantly sold-out shoe of the year. every single time.
If he's going to model for Calvin Klein.
The 2025 campaign is going to generate $8.4 million in media impact value in the first 48 hours. He's a brand powerhouse.
Which brings us to today.
Thu.
Right now.
Yeah.
The summit.
Yeah.
2026.
The convergence, where all these different threads, the music, the politics, the brand power, all come together.
So he spends all of 2025 refusing to tour the U.S. in protest. He's effectively boycotting the American concert circuit. But then it's announced that he is the headliner for the Super Bowl LX halftime show.
And immediately there's a political firestorm. Donald Trump calls the choice ridiculous. He's tweeting about it constantly.
But on the other side, you have Jay-Z's Rock Nation, who produces the show, and the NFL itself, and they stand by the choice.
They stand by it firmly, and Bad Bunny accepts the gig. Now, some people on the outside might say, wait a minute, you won't tour the U.S. because of ICE, but you'll play the Super Bowl. Isn't that hypocritical?
That's the obvious question.
But you have to look at how he framed it. He explicitly viewed accepting the gig as a form of protest in itself.
A protest? How so?
He saw it as infiltrating the system. It was a Trojan horse strategy. His goal was to stand on that stage, the biggest, most watched stage in America, the ultimate symbol of American capitalism and culture, and perform a show that was unapologetically, overwhelmingly in Spanish.
He wanted to force 128 million people to listen to his language, to see his culture on his terms.
Precisely. And that is exactly what he did on February 8th. He didn't water it down. He didn't bring out a bunch of English-speaking guest stars to make it safe for the audience.
No, he brought Puerto Rico to the Super Bowl. He had the pleneros with the drums, the dancers, the aesthetics of San Juan. It was a cultural statement.
And the impact was instantaneous. His entire back catalog surged on the charts. His songs re-entered the Hot 100. And the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, officially declared February 8th, 2026 as Bad Bunny Day in the state.
It was the ultimate flex. It was him saying, I can boycott your entire tour circuit, I can stand against your government's policies, and I can still come here and dominate your single biggest cultural event on my own terms.
And then just 1 week later, just a few days ago, he walks into the Grammys and wins Album of the Year for Debí Tirar Más Fotos.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
He's finally done it. He has the critical acclaim with the Grammys.
He has the commercial dominance with Spotify most streamed artist globally for 4 separate years, which is a record.
And he had the cultural credibility with the activism, the fashion, even the wrestling.
It's just incredible. He's achieved what everyone thought was impossible. He's the biggest star in America, and he barely has to speak English to us.
And that's the paradigm shift. That's the core takeaway from this whole deep dive. He proved that global success is no longer dependent on assimilation into the American market. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to become American to conquer America.
You can be unapologetically yourself, unapologetically Puerto Rican, and the world will come to you.
So what does this all mean for the future? I mean, where can he possibly go from here? He's reached the summit of the mountain.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? He's won the awards, he's played the Super Bowl, he's fought the political battles.
And he's still so young. He's barely in his early 30s.
He is. But I think the central tension of his career remains, and that's what will define his next chapter.
And what's that tension?
It's the friction between being completely integrated into the machinery of U.S. pop culture, while at the same time remaining one of the most steadfast and vocal critics of U.S. politics and policy, especially as it relates to Puerto Rico.
The paradox of being an icon in the empire while constantly critiquing the empire.
Exactly. How does he navigate that? How does that relationship evolve now that he is, for all intents and purposes, a pillar of that very pop culture he critiques?
It is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. Will he finally tour the U.S. in 2027? Does he get even more political? Could he one day run for office in Puerto Rico?
At this point, I would not rule anything out.
Well, if you haven't listened to Debí Tirar Más Fotos yet, you need to go do it. But listen to it with all this context, with fresh ears. Know the history, know the struggle, know the protest, and know the ultimate triumph that exists behind every single beat.
It completely changes the way you hear the music.
It really, really does. Thanks for diving in with us today. This was a big one.
It was. Take care.
We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.